Welcome back. Welcome back, my friends, to the show that never ends. It's the fastest freaking show in MLB. Absolutely anywhere. With your boy. With your fucking boy. Done. Coming to you worldwide. Brooklyn, New York, as always. Coming out that damn chair as always. It's time to play ball, motherfucker. Let's do it to it. Me and you, the Corked Stats crew, find out what all the fucking hubbub is about. Sign up to the Substack where all your dreams come true. $2 a week, get your 5 pounds of shit in a 2-pound box. We are already rocking and rolling. Please, man. If you can't tell the difference between what we're doing and what they're doing, there's no fucking door. Let's go, man. Let's go. All right, everything's up, right? The sun is shining, which means what? Up before the charismatic at dawn. It's the world famous pitching sheets. Oh, no one wants to look at my fat fucking face. Oh, let it wash over you. Let it just wash over you. Love it. As already, yesterday I was on with Kyle Kerms. Make sure you're checking out Source Network if you're up late at night and you're trying to beat early lines. Me, him, and Sam is just off the hook. With the time being, right now, again, it's me and you, the Corked Stats crew. I'm going to try and jump in and out and help out my Insta channel. Follow me at John_Legeza for some of my slop content. The better I am at presenting this stuff, the less editing I have to do later on. Because, of course, I am the one-man band. What do we got? 9 games on the slate. Like I said, everything's up. The sheets are up. The algo is up. The team stats are up. Those will start to populate as far as time splits, right? As that becomes pertinent. We have new edge calculations for prediction markets. I'm going to talk about that maybe at the end if I don't go on and on and on forever. As always, maybe that's a separate thing. Right now, this is probably good advice for everybody. First week, you should be easy. I'm not saying you shouldn't bet. If you think you have a good opportunity, I think you should go for it. I also think you should be very responsible the first week. Sometimes the ball surprises us. Its impact is weather and stuff like that. Again, already nuance and context just going to drip out your freaking nose. Can't help it when you roll with us. But just be easy, basta. All in good time. I'm going to be following these prediction markets like I've been talking about, looking for edge. And I'll be honest, the one thing getting in the way has been volume. Right now I'm on Kalshi, Robinhood, waiting for a boost from Polly. None of these fucking people pay me. Maybe they should. But there's not enough volume yet. So I don't know if we need to get further into the season, if certain sites do more than others. This is all in good time. And, while we're waiting, make sure you check out the Twitter handle at John Legeza Flow, sharper than a damn razor. I lay out the fees for prediction markets and how they're on a curve depending where your bet is. So again, just not something everybody knows. Before you jump into new shit, read the rules, right? I mean, it kind of makes sense, but it's very easy to just, especially for somebody with a trading background like myself, I'm very familiar with all the executions and limit orders and stuff like that. I'm very comfortable there. But if you don't know the fees and the percentage, it's going to screw up your calculation. So without any further ado, let's get back into the sheets. The reason for the season. Again, $2 a week, every single day this is up. You get the show. Right now, the show is going to be free as I try and, jiggle my hooters to get you into the back champagne room, pay for the subscription. But regardless, the data pays for itself. This is up 7 days a week, even though the show is only 6. So let's start at the very beginning. Yar, it's the Pittsburgh Pirates and Paulie Skeens. On the bump against Freddie got fingered Peralta and the Let's Go Mets Go. I mean, do you have to break down Paulie Skeens? He's freaking awesome. Maybe I'll just do a quick layout of the templating for anybody that may be watching on Twitter or runs into the stream. Templating, very important. There's an entire episode on this. I'm not going to beat the dead horse. Learn to use templating. It will create the muscle memory for your own thought process as you're analyzing pitchers. Surface stats, earn run indicators. Is the surface stuff validated? Fastball, bin, disciplinary metrics, then elevation and hard hit quality. I'll kind of scroll over so you can see, but everything is, again, formatted and neat. You want to be working in reverse order, or I guess in order of things pitcher can control, I guess. Then we have hitter splits, lefty and righty splits, all the important stuff formatted, and then some pitcher prop stuff, Ks per game, walks per game, outs per game, pitches per game started. Bottom line, Paulie Skeens did absolutely everything well. There's not a thing he doesn't do. You could create him in a lab, right? Swing and miss with fantastic control. Remember, ball rate greater than sign, walk rate when you roll with us. Again, just all the things that make it worth fucking $2 to go and get this data and sort it and format it and do the math is such a fucking pain in the dick, man. It's just not worth it. You should be a cheap bitch. Being cheap is a good idea, but you got to value your own time. At a certain point, you're too cheap and you're hurting yourself. So Peralta had a really nice season, right? 270 ERA, 108 whip. The indicators in the mid threes, I meant to mention, I have developed my own over the years. That's the MLB MA one. As I was developing with Claude, my new best friend, I'm going to get that thing tattooed on my ass somewhere. We were having an open competition trying to improve R. I challenge it to use a different methodology. So, again, numbers are going to be similar, earn run indicators, but I want you to know it is totally different. It's not a different weighted average than mine, which is not at all an average of Sierra and expected ERA. Though I do weigh them, Claude does not. I had Claude build a completely my own Sierra. I'm too stupid to understand the Sierra formula. I guess I could have put it in there now that I think about it, but I didn't. I had it build a skills-based indicator. So that's what you're looking at in the indicator bin. Sierra and expected ERA, the two most popular, right? Contact quality and skills-based. And then mine and Claude's as we kind of compete. And yeah, I think you're off into a really good spot. Again, the fastball bin and stuff plus just on the four seamer, I think is one of the most important metrics. I think it's the most important stuff plus metric by a mile. Anyway, Freddie Peralta probably throws the four seamer too much, and I don't think he paid for the control. I don't want to call him lucky, but we do like to look at the three legs on the luck stool. Left on base, BABIP, home of the fly ball. You could see Peralta pretty fortunate across the board. 86% left on base, 243 BABIP with all those balls in play, especially a ton of fly balls. Though he does induce a lot of pop-ups because he is good at working up, the fastball has become a little less elite, a little more beatable. That was the term I was looking for. So I probably have this one a little closer. I'm going to flip over to the algo really quick. You can see that up on the board. Again, everything nice and neat. I let you know when we had to manually adjust for weather. You see a little bit Chicago blowing in, Philly was blowing out. We just don't want to be double counting. Totals, combined totals to compare against the book line, our projected win based purely off the math. Remember, if you start playing with the decimal points, those numbers are going to move. One of the problems I believe in the betting industry, some quant is going to roll his old eyeballs right now. I think we all try and be too cute in defining edge and how these, the twisting of the nipples can kind of resonate. You drop the pebble in the pool and the concentric circles start to spray. So I don't want to say, it's inherently inaccurate. And I think this gets picked up both in betting markets with the VIG and in prediction markets with the fees. You almost want to figure in like a 2.5% kind of slip, which sometimes if you're sharp enough shopping, you could find anyway, which again is always at the 4, which also is one of the things that really popped as I was trying to compare all these different sites. I'm going, if I was a little bit smarter, I think I could be arbitraging some of this. I think I have to do a little bit more math. You can get arbitrage bets between sports betting and prediction markets because the prediction markets are all synced using the same numbers. The sports markets are like somewhat synced, but the two are not synced across. So I don't know. That might have just been like the most valuable piece of information you hear today. It just kind of fell out of my mouth. So you could see up on the board, I've got Pittsburgh ahead, right? So I've got Pittsburgh ahead for the game because I've got Skeens down for more distance. I'm worried about Peralta stuff end of game. Now, Maybe I'm a little too low on the Mets bullpen, but again, we could probably call this even. I don't think I'd pay any kind of juice to go up against Skeens. I mean, in general, old fogey better like me, I'm usually looking for the pitching edge, and anytime I could get Skeens like at or near even, like I'm pretty much going to take that. Last night when I had the stuff run early, right? We have the advantage opening day, and we're all waiting to get this work done. There were no first five. I want to get the first five stuff up now. So okay, Skeens is minus 125 on the first five. Or I have this one closer, but again, you don't want to be getting too cute with decimal points. I just like the idea of being on the road, getting the push baked in. Remember, if anybody is new here, if you bet first five, that's F5 is first 5 innings. If it's tied, it's a push. Now, if you play the run line, those are a half a run generally. In alt lines, you could find all kinds of crazy shit. The favorite needs to be ahead by a run. The underdog can cash on the tie, right? It's plus half run. Underdogs can cash. Those are one of our favorite bets. That one might be a little bit pricey today. Actually, Pittsburgh being the favorite, it's a minus, so I wouldn't take that. But I do like the minus 125 pit. As we go, I'm going to be building a lotto parlay, a show parlay that we'll post and play again. This is supposed to be a game by game blitzkrieg, but I got to at least be upfront with I've been getting away from straight betting because my money is in a money market earning 4%, which is the same 4% I used to kill myself for. And you're not guaranteed as much as I like to think we're going to make money. So I'm going to try and be a little more childish with my betting. Do some parlays and look to break the bank with the little bit of money I shaved off. So to lock in a profit, even if I have a completely losing season, I don't win a single bet. I'm way ahead of the game. And again, that's what this is all about. All right, let's move on from this one. I think I like Skeens with the edge and the price. And I know the model likes something about the bullpen action or the lack of distance or whatever, but maybe the improvements in the Pittsburgh offense bringing in some lefties. But again, I don't want to really get too cute with this. Let's move this bitch on. All right, so I'm going to try and be a little bit quicker between games. But like I said, I want to try and get in and out, save myself some editing troubles. By the way, a little program note. I'm going to be looking to launch this thing between 9:30 and 10. If one ends up being better for me, either, life-wise or analytically, I'm going to go with that. But that's what we're looking for, 6 days a week between 9:30 and 10. Again, right now you get the live stream to show off the tools. We're going to move to a podcast, and this gets paywalled because, like the Joker said, if you're really good at something, right, you shouldn't do it for free. Next up, it's the Pale Hose from the wrong side of the tracks, south side of the Windy City. Sugar Shane Smith on the bump, heavy dog on the road. In Beertown against the Miz, Jacob Mizurowski, minus 196 for the Brew Crew. Check out the pitching sheets and the matchups as always. Shane probably the best pitcher on the White Sox. He's the guy we're going to like as a dog. And I did mention the offense is a little bit better. That said, I think Milwaukee has the White Sox every way in this one. Smith was a little bit better than the Miz, though. Miz kind of showed it more topside. And I think with the higher pedigree, I think he's on a trajectory for an SP1, SP2 type, where Smith is probably a very good back-end SP2, SP3 type, though I do like it. Funny, Mizurowski's walk rate, I mentioned using ball and walk rate. Miz had a sub-35 ball rate, but a double-digit walk rate because he can get the swings and misses. I think he's going to want to curb that a little bit. Shane, with decent approach stuff, he's got to induce more chases, or win more with the fastball. If you're going to throw the four seamer almost 50% of the time, you got to get more whiffs on it because he's not inducing chases and then he's getting hit hard. He's able to keep it in the yard last year. Is that going to happen again? I don't know. Turn off the lights and I'll glow. Misiorowski does work up in the zone. He's a good example of how an excellent fastball. You see, he throws 99, 122 stuff plus on the four seamer. He's pretty freaking excellent. I'm going to hop over to the offensive tab. Right now, I just have last year's year to date. Now, this stuff is not like fully predictive because there's been moves and time off and like health changes and stuff. So, another reason why the first week you want to just be easy, but I do want to show it off a little bit. Because again, just to get your hands on this data every day before you're up and formatted, all the advanced stuff, XWOBA, XWOBACon, plus split, right? Lefty split, if you're wondering, that's why those certain teams are in red if you can't read that corner cell. So, for example, a team that's in red, you could just slide it over to the left-hand column and then go even further and slide it up to the disciplinary stuff. And there's your K and walk props. You could slide it over to the power stuff. There's your home runs, right? Who's giving up, fly balls, pull fly balls, and all that. Great stuff. Again, it's just $2 a week if you're going to save yourself an hour or two. Like, there are DMs I have that are like, you save me 3 hours a day or 2.5 hours a day to do all this crap. It's true. All the, modeling, the totals. Remember, you get just about every damn thing you can think of. So, Milwaukee was significantly better last year than the White Sox, but again, the White Sox have done a ton of upgrading. I'm not totally sold on the import players. I generally like to see them do it first, in particular when they have a ton of swing and miss, like the guy the White Sox brought in. Regardless, there's a lot of young talent on this White Sox team right now. It's just not the same team as last year. Yeah, Mydroth and Montgomery were there, but you get that extra year. Montgomery with the first round pick, I'm a mark for that. Benintendi is healthy. You bring in Hayes. Murakami is the name I couldn't think of. And Luis Angel Acuna, baby Acuna, is going to be starting in center field. Just a couple exciting pieces. Brought in Sir Anthony Dominguez to try and slam the door. Point being, I just don't think the White Sox are as bad, maybe as everybody else thinks. Let's bring up the algo. Drumroll says. Ta-da! I've got this one, a little bit closer than the books. And this was a very specific opportunity that I was watching for. I took a live position, but it's very small. I just want to be tracking percentage and, again, the fees and the real-time movements and the liquidity, the market, to see if I can get in and out. Before I'm recommending people do anything, I want to make sure that, the water is safe. I don't want to get caught in undercurrent and pulled fucking out to sea or anything like that. So I did take Chicago position. It just hasn't moved. I bought 34. It's now 33, but it just really hasn't moved. That's the whole thing. It just hasn't moved. There's no like money in this market. I'm going to click through on Kalshi. There's $39,000 on this on that game. Actually, I'm sorry. That was Washington, but the point probably holds. Chicago, I bought 37. It's still 37. So no worse for wear. There's 160 grand on this one, but it's been extremely flat here. I wouldn't be surprised if we get a late break towards the White Sox, just as people maybe digest Shane Smith is a little bit better than everyone thought. I do love the Miz, so I don't think I would take a bet on the White Sox. I was more interested in trying to capture CLV, right? You see how there's a difference between the binary action of sports books and trying to jump in on edge in live markets, right? Trading, the difference there. What I did like is if we can get the F5, if you can find in under 4.5. I'm looking at my bookie. They have a U4 minus 104, which means you might get minus 105. I legit can't bring up the DraftKings desktop. It destroys my Chrome for whatever reason. Trust me, it's not my rig. It's not the internet I pay out of my nose for. I have 1,000 things running right now. You open up that one. Maybe they must be doing improvements to some shit. Well, their improvements sometimes are not those, but if you can find under 4.5, that's the one I like. I hate to go under 4 F5 because then you push. I like the Brewers offense. I don't love it. I think I like Shane Smith more than the market, and there's your under. I'm going to try and hustle up a little bit more. Again, I know we probably have a few new people that are just interested in, you see this stuff and it can be a little bit overwhelming. How can you use it? Is it worth it? Does this guy know what the frick he's talking about? Alrighty. Next up, it's the Nacionals, the nation's capital. Cade Cavalli on the bump, plus 170 dog on the road in the Windy City. Nice part of town against the Boyd boys. Matty Boyd and the Baby Bears. Minus 204 for the Cubbies. This is probably a game that I thought we were going to capture CLV. It hasn't happened. It didn't break totally against us, but it hasn't happened, to be transparent. What I love about capturing CLV is if you don't get the move, you could just cash out the bet and take the small loss, opposed to other times where if you didn't get the move you were looking for, you're stuck to that bet. Even if there's a large move, quote unquote, the ones we would be cashing out if it were going for us, you could still cash out and take, minus 7%, 8% is better than minus 100% if you really want to pull the cord. So, again, the difference between trading and betting is going to be coming up a lot here. This one I might actually take a whack at the tree. I mentioned the F5 run lines. Nats are getting plus money for the tie, and those are like my spots pretty much. Algo has a lean for the Cubs. It should, right? It should. But I've got the F5 Fairline price at minus 123. And it's a little too close to the twos for me to not take plus money on a tie. Because I think we might have the pitching edge in this one. Let's take a little looky-loo. We'll do Boyd first, 321, 109. I think he pitched over his skis. My indicator didn't hate him, but they're all at 3.25 or above. Claude liked the skills more than I did. I think he throws the four-seamer too much. You see 47% use, but it's only at 93 miles an hour, which is not very good, at 92 stuff plus, which again is not good. Now, the command and the control are good, but the poor CSW tells you he doesn't get the cold stuff over. He lived off a strong set of luck indicators. Not great, but strong. Single-digit homer fly ball on a 45% fly ball despite 12% infield fly is pretty good. We know wind affects stuff in Wrigley. Today, they're expecting wind in. You see that on the model, wind in. It's also why the total is so ridiculously low. That said, Cade Cavalli is someone I've been following for a while. And this is one of those interesting kind of trajectory stories. Former first-round pick in 2020. So it's not that long ago. He's only 27. He has 53 innings in the MLB. 5-3. We should not be making hard determinations yet on a player with that type of potential skill set. This is something we hear talked about in fantasy football all the time. I don't think it gets enough love in fantasy baseball and then further into prop betting and daily stuff. Giving up on draft capital way too soon because there is a lot of swing and miss. And just last year, coming off a bad year, Cavalli's knuckle curve is filthy, 332 X slug, 39 whiff. He's got a strong spin profile. He's got a strong extension profile. He can get whiffs on the four seamer, which we love. He's got good velo. He's got decent shape. I'd like a little more arm side run. That's why the stuff plus is not through the roof, but it's also why he's not featuring it. Right? He's featuring the knuckle curve first, and then that changeup is also an excellent pitch. You could throw it to both-handed hitters. So I think Cavalli might be the better pitcher in this one, despite the spreadsheets. And I know I love my spreadsheets, but we got to be honest. That's what this is all about. Looking at wider samples, but always keeping our eye kind of downrange. So if this were costing us a premium, I'd probably say thanks, but no thanks. But I want to get on that. I'm going to get on that plus money because I like Cavalli. I think the Nats offense is probably a little bit undersung. I know they struggled against lefties. It was pretty rotten last year. Now that I'm mentioning it, let's just see how bad it was, right? I'll give you an idea of, right, using the tools and how easy they work within kind of the stream of consciousness, right? Can't lose with the tools we use. So Nats just like the lefties. Oh, also I wanted to mention last year when we started, we didn't have the pitches per plate appearance and we didn't have swing rate. And now I like those. Those are a really good combination of metrics to speak to aggression. Another one that's just really hard to find. Whatever, that alone would be worth $2 a week. So the Nats probably are a little too aggressive for their skill set. Right? They chase too much. They swing and miss too much. They don't take walks. You'd like to see them pull that back. See more pitches. Whatever they're doing is not working. Right? 606 OPS versus lefties is pretty brutal. So I don't think the Nats steamroll Boyd. I'm just worried the way that he started to tail off at the end of the year, that maybe he's out of gas. All right, let's move on. Next up, who the want what? Next up, it's the Twinks. Joe Ryan on the bump for Minnesota. Yeah. Plus 125 dog on the road against B-Moore. And the Blackbirds in orange vest, Trevor Rogers on the hill for the O's, minus 147. Man, Rogers was just straight up fantastic. I was one of the Momos, scratching one of my many chins when they dished off Kyle Stowers, who I love. For a guy like Trevor Rogers, not to say that I didn't, we saw a little bit of ceiling with Miami, but I worried about sustainability. And then, I worried a little bit about not that there was ceiling, but that he could sustain ceiling. And Rogers did all of that. So really amazing when that trade was made. If you were told, what do you mean? Why would they trade for Trevor Rogers? We view him as an opening day starter. It would be a minus 150 favorite over Joe Ryan. You'd be like, what are you smoking right now? But there you go. Right. So be careful. Range of outcomes, expectations, and variance. Right. These things are all very, very real. Now, that doesn't make Ryan a bad pitcher. You can see he's got good stuff. He throws a ton of four-seamers. He's a thrill a minute because he works up in the zone constantly, lots of four-seamers, but he's got great control, so he's good at dotting it up and out of the zone, which generally are either whiffs or pop-ups. What happens when you miss that high pitch down, right? You miss up and down instead of missing up and up. That's it. Last fucking fifth row, you know what I'm saying? So that's my worry in facing Baltimore. I know a lot of us, including myself, massive L's on the offensive front because they were just a little bit disappointing. I'm going to highlight the row here, and you could see, let's go overall, just how poor Baltimore was. 6,000 plate appearance sample here. They bat 235, 305 OPP, 24K to 8 walk, and just, a bottom 8 disciplinary bin, a bottom 5 elevation bin, and the power that you thought might be there was not. Little glimpse of hope with the hard hit stuff in the XCon because they do pull balls. Now, there's a lot of youth and a ton of talent. I'm just kind of buying back in on Baltimore. I was talking to Kyle and Sam about this yesterday, and it could be a huge mistake, but I'm worried. I'm worried about the archetypes here, especially because I just have no faith in the Minnesota offense either. They're very much all or none. And, a guy like Wallner, I feel like he has no hope today. Projected lineup looks like Martin, Buxton, Keishel, Jeffers, Wallner, Bell, Lewis Caratini, and Brooks Lee. I mean, against Gunner, Rutschman, Alonso, Ward, Basayo, O'Neill, Mayo, Kauser, and Blaze Alexander. My gosh, and the fact that Baltimore has a couple pieces, Westberg and Holiday, kind of on the mend coming back. I'm just really wheels up for Baltimore. I'm kind of wheels down on Minnesota. I'm also terrified of the Minnesota bullpen. Now, granted, Baltimore's not great either. At least they brought in Helsley, who's, an A1 capital C kind of closer, where Minnesota is going back to Taylor Rogers. He's a little long in the tooth, and then it's like Thunderberg and Sands and Topa. And if Ryan even winds up deep in a pitch count and not going far into the game, I don't think Minnesota has any answers. They're going to be very hard to back this year. Let's check out late algorithm really quick, and we'll move on. I'm really surprised to see the minus 120, just on Baltimore, on its face. Though, funny enough, if you took this one, I don't know if I did. I want to be very transparent. I'm still kind of figuring out how to work this bitch. No, I had Washington, White Sox, Rangers were on my CLV list. This one wouldn't have been big enough to act on. But if you actually look at the board, I had this at minus 120 fair line value. I don't adjust those. Those are just based on the model calculations. So it goes to show you what is partly why I use the model too, because it's very easy to do analysis and say, oh, Baltimore should be this kind of heavy favorite. Model not really buying it. Maybe because of the majority righties, maybe because of the struggles from Baltimore last year. But frankly, I'd be a little bit worried. I might actually like the F5 under if we're getting 4.5. Again, my bookie has U4, but it's plus 100. So there's probably a U4.5 out there. Oh, gosh, I'm so tempted to open friggin' DraftKings. It's going to crash my computer, yo. All right, enough of that shit, man. Let's move on. All right, who's up next in this wonderful opening day? Hope everyone is enjoying the show. I'm going to try and giddy up a little bit more. As we start, I got to let people know exactly what they're getting into, the kind of, maniacism and fringe lunacy you're dealing with when you rock with us. If you have a short attention span, I'm going to be trying to chop these up and push them out on Instagram, but sometimes you get what you get and you don't get upset. Maybe at the end of the show, I'll work on the Instagram clip. Again, we'll figure this shit out. It's all a bit of a moving target. Next up on the big board, it's the Red Laundry from somewhere in the Northeast. Garrett Crochet on the hill for the Bo Sox, minus 156 favorite on the road against the Red Legs from Cincy. And hey, I bet Andrew Abbott on the bump coming off that awesome season, man. Speaking of awesome seasons, Crochet, unhittable, one of the 3 best pitchers on the planet right now. Just phenomenal stuff, command, control, and ground balls. He could punch out just about anybody, and he's a funky lefty. What a funky monkey, man. Crochet is just the man, and the fact he got over 200 innings in this new era of ass powdering is crazy. Abbott, like I mentioned, a 287, 115 whip, but probably went over his skis a little bit. 420 expected, 360 on Claude, 370 for mine, 350 Sierra. So no one's below 350. Three quarters of a run worse as far as output. The whip was pretty good. You check out the luck stuff. 274 BABIP is okay. The 80 left on base is doing a lot of lifting. Single digit homer fly ball in a place like Cincinnati for a guy with a 48% fly ball rate is really helping. But Abbott also very good. Funky lefty, arm angle stuff, working up and down. Also good with control to get that high pitch, right? You see the 34% ball rate, 6% walk for Abbott. The command, the control metrics are very, very good. That extends into the four seamer, though it's not good and he throws it too often. He does get those pitches up and out of the zone. So, you see that was supposed to be on the fucking pitching sheet. Damn me. You have to look at my stupid face for that whole one, but I was showing you how to use it, I promise. Darn it. This is why the best creators have damn producers. So when they are warranted, got to do it, man. Everybody takes the mercy flush sometimes. I get it, man. All right. I get it. We'll just try and do better tomorrow. So I was walking you through all that stuff, right? How, again, the indicators, right? We looked at the luck stats. You work it back to the control, over to the elevation stuff, and it gives you all the hints that you need. You're not really getting Ks, but you are getting control, and you can go deep. I was under on this one also, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I'll go under on the F5. See, that one also is at 4, but it's minus 105. I got to find a backup F5 provider if anybody wants to be my best friend and hook me up. I would appreciate it. Obviously, display matters. I always pump my bookie. They don't pay me. Maybe they should. But it's because they have an F5 page where everything's on one board. The problem with DraftKings, even though they have a fantastic selection, again, they don't pay me. I give a fuck less. You have to scroll and scroll and scroll and scroll. It's so annoying. Usually my bookie's got great prices. The pricing is good. They don't have alts on the F5s last that I checked. So I'm looking over at, I know BetMGM has them sometimes. They might not right now. F5s are a little like niche, and some places like just drag their feet and getting them out. Yeah, they're not up on MGM. F5 is kind of a sharp marker. So if you can get under the 4.5, I want those. I want to get under the 4.5. It's also one of the few places I'll pay juice. Oftentimes you can get that run for something like 20 cents. And if you get a run for 20 cents, that's a determinative run, right? That's your winning run. I'm gonna take that. So I think Boston and Cincy, I think the public a smidge too high. And I'm going to go on the under Reno. Boston, a lot of tough lefties, maybe struggling with Abbott, and, Crochet could just shut out anybody. That would never really be too much of a surprise. All right, let me see if I can figure this out this time. Alrighty, next up, it's the Halos, Jose Soriano on the bump for LA, plus 158 dog on the road. Down in the Lone Star State, good grief. Hunter Brown on the hill for the Houston Astros, minus 190 for the Stros. Let's take a look at the videotape. Soriano, easily the worst pitcher going today. Great velo, but that's about it. He doesn't have good control. He does keep it down, but he's constantly losing in zone. He's a contact machine. And he's always just begging to get pounded. Other side, Hunter Brown, perennial ace. most likely going to get some MVP votes. Total horse, really does everything. He's a guy where the ball rate is high, 38% is high, average like 36. But he doesn't allow that to turn into free passes. So sometimes the difference between ball rate and walk rate simply means pitchers tightening it up with three balls. So it's not like Brown has bad control. He's just not stubborn, I think I'd say. We'd like to see him get ahead a little bit more. But for a guy who can get strikeouts the way he does, we love the ground balls. We love the contact stuff. He doesn't really have a weak split. Almost 7 strikeouts a game. And all important that nearly 18 outs per game. We love that from our big dogs. Get up there and get you 6 outs. 6 innings, the 18 outs. Put you in a good spot for a win. Speaking of which, again, man, I'm gonna have to do it. Oh my god, okay. I'm bringing up the DraftKings app. If I get caught off, that was why it happened. Don't think any less of me. I just got to get it adventurous because I'm curious if they still have all the markets that they would. Okay, so there's no like daily specials up. If you're unfamiliar, I'm going to just quick detour really quick. If you look up at the screen, every day you also get implied team totals. So every day I take, these are all the model scores, but I put them in one spot and sorted. So this is perfect for playing your daily specials highest team. It's also very good for DFS stack identifications, right? So if you were a DFS player and you were just looking to backfill, right? Because even though I do provide hitters that ring, those are just the strongest. Those are people I would bet on. I'm not going to list a million guys. So I just like to reverse engineer lineups. We obviously like the Dodgers, but we also like Houston. We like Milwaukee. We like Boston. Again, you're not going to get a lot of offense today, I don't think, between weather and the pitchers. But just to show off a little bit more of the tools, you also get SP ranks and K projections every day. My K projections are normally not up this early, just because all the data has been out, the starters, but they will be up every day. So you get a little bit of everything, and again, just $2 a week. I don't think it should disqualify you from also, if you're already subbed to something else. I think it's cheap enough if you sign up for the year. I give you the last month free, so it's $88 for the year, which is like $1.65 a week. So don't be a cheap bitch your whole life. Support good people doing good work, because it's rough and tough like leather out there. You know what I'm saying? How do you not like the Astros? The answer would probably have to be the offense. You see the offense up on the screen right now. Now, granted, the Astros were not good here. I'll drop it down so you can see them both. The Astros were not good. They were still significantly better than the Angels. And where the Astros struggled is not really a strong point for Soriano. So Houston suffered from being a little too aggressive, chasing a bit too much. Soriano's pounding the zone, throwing strikes, and giving up contact. Astros love to pull. I don't know. I think they're going to be in trouble a lot of line drives. I just don't think the matchup is there. Also, the Angels bullpen is up Shites Creek without a paddle. Robert Stevenson is down. Kirby Yates is also down. They're going to be relying on, the ghost of Jordan Romano, who also might be fine. If you're a fantasy guy, I have him in my deeper fantasy leagues, but he's only going to get you one inning, and Soriano is probably not going to go very deep. So you do the math. I don't generally like to look for covers. Right now, I'm praying that my stream is working because everything froze because of this damn stupid DraftKings. I'm going to try and close it. Oh my gosh, what a nightmare. Live TV sucks. Listen, you gamble and you lose sometimes. Just crazy stuff. I've had that window open for like 5 years straight, and just recently, whatever the hell happened, not so much. So yeah, I hate looking for covers, but I think I'm doing it. I think I like the Houston cover. Probably get me the F5 cover, though. Man, I was going to say I usually like the full game, but maybe not when we're at home. Though Brown has an expectation of going deep, this is a pretty good puzzle. The thinking very quick for anybody that just got lost because I'm scrambled sometimes. If you're a heavy favorite at home, you really don't imply the ninth inning. We'll probably start that again. Come on, good lesson here. Incoming message. If you're a favorite and you're playing at home, then you're really not projecting that ninth inning for your offense. If you're projecting the ninth inning for that offense, you're admitting, right? You're tacitly admitting that you don't think they're going to be ahead at that point. So that should affect all of your pricing if you're prop betting or if you're even betting in the case I was just speaking about, a full game run line where you need the 2-run cover. Got to be careful. Not only may your team allow the run to bring them within 1 in the ninth, think about it. You're up 2 runs, lead off triple. The home team doesn't care at all if that runner scores. Yes, they'd like to get them out in a perfect world, but a ground ball to the infield, they're not throwing home. They're throwing to first. So there becomes a disalignment between our desire for betting outcomes and the manager, which is the opposite of what we want when we bet on them to win. So in 2 million words or less, be careful not to project the extra plate appearances and runs that come with a ninth inning if you're a favorite at home. Make sure you follow me on Twitter at John Legeza and all the socials, all that good stuff. All right, let's get back into the show. Sorry if I dragged on that, but we got new people, and I told you up front, I really care about helping. And sometimes it's the foundational blocks that resonate what better day to do this than opening day. I'm not going to be doing this every day. Right? I'm going to refer you to the pitching tutorial sheet and the opening day show selfishly, and then we're going to be more handling our business. All right, I forgot what the hell I was talking about. Oh, if I wanted to go, the run line, right? If we wanted to cover the run line, I think I'm going to just stick with the F5s. I'm going to just stick with the F5, right? Let's get away from bullpen garbage for right now. I know I called it. Watch what'll happen. The Astros will, be losing through 5 and then win by 7 or something. But I don't want to say worst case we push, but if we're losing, then it was a loss, right? All right, let's move on. Again, thanks for watching the show. I hate begging for fucking support. It's like literally the opposite of how I built this brand. It's more important to me, people who appreciate the work I'm doing and say like, oh, this is really good plus EV stuff. Guess what? Friends for life. I don't have to sell you, So I'm trying not to do that. But I'll tell you, the X algorithm has changed. Please, pretty please, with sugar on top, like and retweet and all that stuff because it matters way more than it should. Quote tweets that are like organic promotions are freaking amazing. And I just saw breaking news. I don't think I have a breaking news thing. I don't. But on the tracks, Jackson Chourio to the IL Brewers just announced. Might help my CLV play, not that it matters too much. But it said something with a hand. Maybe he got hit on it, didn't notice it, or sliding. He woke up and it still hurt. So, major ding for fantasy people. Again, get him out of your DraftKings lineups and everything. You got time, but anybody at the last minute that might be scrambling, Chourio will not be available today. One hitter doesn't totally wreck a model. It's only going to move a model a fraction of a run, and that's one of the things that really messes with people. Maybe a guy like Judge, make exceptions for, but one hitter really doesn't change it too much. He is probably their best hitter. But anyway, give me Houston with the F5 coverage. Quick recap for anybody that is just jumping on. We're going to be doing the show 6 days a week, sometime between 9:30 and 10 until we find solid ground. We have covered every game today. I took a little time to work through the sheets and the tools. If you're interested in that stuff, check it out. Also building a parlay in real time, the show parlay that people seem to love. We did okay on them too. Right now, these are F5 plays. I'm going to just avoid bullpens today. We like the Pirates minus 120. We've got White Sox and Brewers to the under. Look for a 4.5. I've got Nats on the run line plus money. I may bet that one straight. Minnesota, Baltimore under. I know there are 4.5s out there because I see a U4 plus 100. So the guarantee there's a under 4.5 minus 115. And I like the Astros for a run line cover in the other way against Soriano, though maybe like it's less greedy in a parlay to actually pay the big juice for the money line, so a tie doesn't kill us. Another just piece of the thinking. And let's move it on from there. Just a few more games today, so not totally disastrous that I ran on and on and on. Again, I'm going to try and close out strong. But first day, new people, kind of getting some of the rust off. Next up, Scooble Dooble Doo and the Tigres. They are leaving Detroit Rock City as minus 133 favorites. I said I'll take almost anybody, against Tariq. That F5 number is minus 160. I want to flip over to the full side. Yeah, it's minus 127. Sam and Kyle and I were all kind of shocked. I couldn't believe the minus 133 wasn't a bargain. Lines moved towards San Diego since, and to me, I don't want to say I don't care about CLV because I'm here trying to capture it, but I don't care when it's moving against Scooble. I would trail this price and just get in, at the very last second. I think Detroit has the edge every way. Let's go to the videotape. Scooble's got all the red. For what it's worth, my formatting, I try and copy Baseball Savant. I know some people, green is good, and I guess a green go, red stop. But I've always equated baseball stats with Savant, red hot, blue cold. So Scooble's got all the things. I mean, he's like the perfect pitcher. He's got a fastball at 98 with elite stuff that has such good secondaries. He doesn't need to overthrow it with the best command in the game. I mean, he's legit the fucking man. Last year, almost 8 strikeouts a game with just 1 walk per game, almost 19 outs per game started. Oh, and I forgot to mention, people, I'm providing pitches per game started. Yo, that shit matters. Okay, you really want to know if you're going to be playing outs or any of the pitching prop stuff. Also remember, reduce these numbers by a little bit on the first start. I don't really like to go over props the first time around. Again, I don't really care if it costs me a bet or two. It's not worth chasing the, flimsy data right now. But all season, we're going to have, again, all the per game stuff for the prop crowd. And again, it's all as simple as you just scroll over to it. Boom. Who's got the walks? You like to go over walks. Peralta walks, Smith walks guys, Miz walks guys, no problem. Gallen walks guys, and Yamamoto, all the guys that had at least 2 walks per start. Boom. Did I memorize that? No. That's what this is about. Okay, right? That's what this is. So let's get back on track and finish capping this one. Again, I got Scooble. I like Pivetta. I think he pitched over his skis. The whip was good because the command was very good, which was impressive. However, right, but that big shaking butt. I forgot about that one. Let's go. Better than the break sound. It's not even a good break, man. I need a better one. Charge. Yeah, let's go for charge. Oh, man. We are going to abuse that button this year. I can't wait. That might be my new favorite one. Okay, Pavetta, a little too much with the fastball, right? Back on track. Sorry, I can't control myself. Velo 94, usage 46, 103 stuff plus. Not great. We want to either have better velo or dial down the use, especially with the low swinging strike rate, way too many fly balls, gifted with the low homer fly ball and the 235 BABIP, the nearly 80% left on base. Pavetta probably in line for a little bit of negative regression. What's my worry? What me worry? It's the split and the stylistics here, right? We know Pavetta throws a lot of four seamers. That's why he gives up the home runs. Now he's really tough against lefties, but it's a million fly balls, and the Tigers have a lot of fastball hitting lefties. Projected lineup, it looks like Kerry Carpenter might lead off in this one. You're going to get maybe McGonigal at third. He might lead off also. Riley Green, Colt Keith, Parker Meadows, all lefties that we don't love nearly as much against lefties as we do against righties. So I don't love the matchup here. Definitive pitching edge for Pavetta over for Skubal over Pavetta. Excuse me. Definitive pitching edge for Skubal over Pavetta. I don't feel like I'm being over my skis there, and I like Nicky P. Paisan, come on, but like let's just be fundamentally honest. Then you get into the offense. I mean, was San Diego like that great against lefties? No. How do we know? We just immediately scroll over. They also had one of the largest samples against lefties last year. San Diego versus Southpaws. Not good. 638 OPS, sub 090 ISO. I mean, that's pretty whack. The disciplinary stuff has been good for the Padres, but the ball's in the ground. They don't pull. They don't hit it hard. They don't get barrels. Ex-con and the shitter. I would say thanks, but no thanks. This is not a great matchup. Meanwhile, Tigers hit righties for power. I get it. The average is low. There are strikeouts, so we're expecting Pavetta strikeouts. That's fine. I just don't think that's going to be enough. Gotta like the Padres pen. Detroit did add Jensen, but I don't think that's enough. I did listen. I had this close, but now we're getting to the point where you got to be on Detroit. So I'm going to go Detroit, and it's the same idea. I don't know. I got to decide if I either want to pay the juice to get the F5 on the favorites or move the Astros and the Tigers to full game. I'm kind of tempted to do that because the pricing is so much better and the pitchers go deep. So I may, before we wrap this up, I may circle back to get those. Again, to the more than 300 people watching this in real time, really appreciate you. It means the world. I've had a ton of trouble getting reach on X, so like and retweet and comment. Shit matters more than it does. I hate fucking begging, but don't support the show and the show collapses, it's gone. Sucks. So you got to support. I just froze in real time. Couldn't tell you if I'm actually still going. I'm going to give it another second. All right, we pick back up. And again, the second I open that thing, I totally F myself. All right, let's get back into the last handful of games. I did mention this one at the open. Texas Rangers, Nasty Nate Eovaldi, Naughty Jungle of Love, plus 133 dog on the road down in Philly near Broad Street to face Christopher Dirty Sanchez and the Fighting Phils, minus 138 for Sanchez. Not that I don't like Sanchez. He's very good. Eovaldi, one of the best pitchers in the league when he's healthy. We always talk about Eovaldi with the 94 rule. If Eovaldi's throwing 94, he's like elite. When you play fantasy like I do, he can be a scary proposition because I don't know if he's going to get you 32 starts. But the days he's healthy, I think he's going to be excellent. Philly was the horse meme joke from last night. If you listen to the show, I also tweeted it. Kyle apparently had never heard of the horse meme where it looks really fucking dope. That horse has a beautiful ass. But by the end, it looks like my 6-year-old finished it with a chewed up crayon. And that's what the Phillies lineup feels like. I think the Phillies have a better lineup than the Rangers right now. Okay, so like I'll admit that. Trey Turner, Kyle Schwarber, Bryce Harper. Three like legit, superstar types. Harper and Turner kind of aging, but I still think they're great. But then immediately, Bomb, Stott, Adolis, Marsh, Muto, Justin Crawford, you don't know what you're getting there. And there's not like a ton of like power there, I guess, from Adolis, but there's holes. He's also old, and we've seen the downside. I also worry with the Phillies, Adolis in the field, or Schwarber in the field. One of them is playing the field. I don't know about that, man. I don't know what we doing. I could kill you at some point. Guarantee. That's going to kill Phillies bettors at some point. That's a guarantee. So now you look at the Texas lineup. Okay, no, it's not like chock full of three guys that could easily make the Hall of Fame, but it's definitely deeper. Nimmo, Langford, Seager, Berger. Again, we have injury concerns, but not today. Josh Smith, Josh Young, Jock Peterson, Evan Carter, Danny Jansen. That Peterson and Carter combo is going to be really dangerous versus righties, even if they're tough righties. Sanchez, the lefty. Did I have that? Man, I might have had that mark wrong. Somebody out there was just, oh, and I just used the buzzer, but I earned it again. Quoting righty stuff when I have it marked for lefties on the sheet. Sorry, that's why I was stammering. I wanted to make sure I didn't have the red teams wrong. I was going to go fix that in real time. All right, so Texas really struggled against lefties last year. Aggressive, put the ball in the air. That's not Sanchez's game. When Phillies were good against righties, but they chased too much, put the ball on the ground too much. I mean, if you're going to chase, you could struggle with Eovaldi, and it's not like they had a ton of home runs. I don't know. Maybe I was putting the cart before the horse with what I thought about the Texas offense tightening the gap with the Phillies. Because, I mentioned it. I had this one labeled, right? I have the algo up. This one got listed at 58.43, and I had it at like 51.49. Even if I'm squinting a little bit because bullpen stuff, and we look at the first five, I had 54.46. So either way, I was a few percentage points off the market, and that, like I said, just hasn't moved. Yeah, it's the same. It's the same price it was. Texas on the full game. I got bet stamp up plus 143. I'm telling you, this is what I was mentioning at the open. Like, if the betting on prices and prediction market prices really might be creating arbitrage opportunities. I got to get my ass on this. I wish again, it's like I could have worked in this because I never actually seen it. But is there anybody out there looking for money making opportunities or like a passion project? That would be it for me. Remember to calculate the fees, though, right? That's the component, and that's why I can't say right now, oh, there is this opportunity, because I can't do the math in my head because of that scale that I mentioned before. Easily something that can be handled by someone smart or by a program. But man, it feels like the pricing structures, which are, let's think of them in they're like their own continent. So the prices are static. They're the same on each continent. They're the same, right? So all the betting sites are the same, and all of the prediction markets are the same, but two of them don't appear to be the same. And I wonder if anyone's going to get this. This is evolution shit, right? Like we might have like a Galapagos Island thing going on here. I got to get something for this. Come on, hold on. Come on, I got it. Where kind of foreign information has yet to be passed, and there could be crazy results from that. Again, I'm just kind of thinking out loud. I'm going to try and do it. I don't necessarily have the time to do that right now, but the light bulb went off when I'm trying to fill. You can see on the sheets, I'm trying to fill in prices, but I don't want to do all the calculations, so I'm having the you enter either the price and have it calculate the odds, or I enter the odds and have it calculate the American odd price. The problem is these things are so far off that I was like, wait, there's got to be something here, unless it's lost in the fee. So again, always kind of thinking about this, evolving world and market, but also why, like I said at the beginning, why basta, just relax. First week, let's just watch. Let's just see what's going on. I'm checking volume. I'm gonna be doing a lot of work. Doesn't mean that you can't bet, but just be easy, breezy. You know what I'm saying? Be easy. Don't get fucking smoked. Dog walked in the first week. It's crazy. So I'm kind of get Texas to keep it close. Right now, I can get minus 120 with the half run. I don't know. I mean, I hate having to challenge Sanchez, but I think I like Eovaldi to keep him to a tie. I think if he's able to get past those top three, we're in a really great spot. All right, let's move it on. 2 games left. Next up, Drew Rasmussen and those flat fucking fish from Florida on the road in St. Louis under the arch. St. Louis plus 106 dog at home. Mr. Freedom, Matthew Liberatore, on the road, another first round trajectory guy. I was on him in fantasy. He kind of checks the boxes that I like to see. I mentioned giving up on draft capital too soon. I think this might be another case. Liberatore, big lefty, former 16th overall pick. He's only 26 years old. Now, he has 334 innings under his belt. It's a lot, but it's not like a ton. The thing that got me was the spring training breakout. Now, we don't want to overreact to it, so I'm not like smashing the button for Liberatore. But again, this shouldn't be a guy that we're throwing away. So let's go to the videotape here. And hopefully you can see a little bit of what I mean. Because I'm Mr. Spreadsheet, right? I'm Mr. Spreadsheet. But you got to be careful discounting year-over-year growth, right? That's where the spreadsheet honks get in trouble, is trying to find everything in the spreadsheet. It's a really part of why I love Kyle and Sam so much. They're talking about this kind of stuff. Kyle, in the hybrid, right? He's very much data, but also very much narrative. And I don't want to say Sam is not, but he doesn't give himself enough credit. But if we were to bin ourselves, right, I'd be all data, Kyle in the middle, and Sam none. Obviously, they would understand what I'm saying because they're super sharp, and I don't speak highly of just anybody. I wouldn't attach my brand to just anybody, but yeah, they're great. You got to check them out. Source Network on YouTube. So Liberatore, look at the numbers: 4.21 ERA, 131 WHIP, 487 Sierra. We're not interested. The stuff plus on the four-seamer, it's trash. So it's like all the things that I'm generally enamored by, right? He doesn't do any of those things. Aside from the draft capital argument, but that's not it, because even in those struggle years last season, he had the secondaries, right? So notice I identified that also before. This is Matthew Liberatore, the slider last year, right? He could throw it to both-handed hitters. 388 X-Lug, 32 whiff. Curveball, could throw it to both-handed hitters, but it's a really strong out pitch to righties. 248 X-Lug, 33 whiff. He's got 2 money pitches in the bag. Now, he really struggled with the four-seamer. He wasn't inducing any whiffs on that at all. In the preseason, we started to see, maybe what look like, again, that kind of step forward. End of last year, we started to see more of the really good off-speed stuff for a little bit less of the four-seam and sinker combination that were hurting him. Liberatore was one of the best pitchers this spring. 15 innings, 1.8 ERA, 0.8 WHIP. He had a over 30% K minus BB. So I just don't want to dismiss this guy. And I also think the public is a little high on the Rays offense. Remember, the Rays are leaving that joke of a ballpark. And I think you got to be ready for that step back. Let's check out Rays versus lefties last year. Was an extremely weak split. You could see one of the higher samples. This is like a bottom six offense, and that also speaks to the strength of the formatting, guys and girls. Everything is formatted 10th and 90th percentile. We don't want to get hung up like certain, filter queens out there who third best walk rate versus lefties, and you're like, my fucking brain is going to melt. That's not enough, okay? Just leave it. It's not enough. You got to build the tapestry. You want to understand where that number falls as far as a percentile, because you could be you theoretically could be the third best and be at the bottom percentile, right? That doesn't generally happen, but very, very, very triggering for me. People who do this poorly or who mislead even accidentally because they're too stupid to know the difference, just major headache. So back to the Rays, you see the very poor approach, right? They chase, they lose in the zone, they're too aggressive. The ball's on the ground, they don't pull, there's no barrels. 293 xWOBA was bottom 5 last year versus lefties, and that was with the home stuff baked in. I'm not sure why the public loves these Rays so much. I like Rasmussen as much as the next guy. He's very good on a per inning basis. I always worry about the depth. You could see that manifest also right over to the prop column. Below 15 outs per game. And the Rays generally have a moniker for being very strong as far as pitching. I don't know if I love the bullpen without Uceta. I don't know if I love the bullpen. I mean, Jackson Cleaver is cool. But Baker and Engler, I'm not in love with it. I do love Seymour. I think he's a legit starter. We'll see at some point. I'm not sure they have the righties in the middle to get the outs. Again, it's yet to be seen. And the Cardinals offense is whack. Cardinals offense is so whack. But that's kind of my point of, here, check this out. I kind of tied all this together. Why I'm on the under. I've got like a hard. Let's do a really quick lesson on the model read, because I get these questions all the time. And if you were, wondering how do I read the model and how do I play this or approach this, those are not bad questions. Those are good questions. Not everyone's been doing this with us for years and years and years. And sometimes I forget to stop and smell the roses for the new people. Again, I'm doing this selfishly. I'm going to remember tutorial. Opening day, after this, you're on your own. So when it comes to reading the model, particularly with F5s, you have to be extremely careful just adding totals. Remember, average totals through 5 will generally be between 1.5 and 2.5, 1.25 up to 3. These are reflected in the sports book lines. 1.5 is the standard. They fool around with the juice. 2.5 is high. You should get plus money on those. So it goes to speak to the fact that scoring 3 runs through 5, is hard. The thing that people do, the mistake that they make, the rake they step on, is looking at a 2.25 and a 2.25, coming up with 4.5, and take, we're at 4.5, we can look for the 5. That's really not how it's done. In order to expect the 3, right, the model is based on a mean outcome, you really should be at the half, right? You think of it again, I mentioned at the beginning, modelers and gamblers and bettors trying to be a little bit too cute with edge calculations. I always think you should build in a little bit of slippage. Think of models are not a sniper rifle, right? It's a cannon shot. And if you fire the cannon in the right direction enough times, you're going to destroy the target. If you're only trying to have one shot, one kill, you're going to fail. So be careful with just adding numbers together to make your determination. Look at them each on their own and how sometimes 1 + 1 can equal 3. All right, back into the Good stuff. We're gonna get out of here in a minute. Sorry I kept you so long, but again, this show will not be this long going forward. This under is still 4.5. Funny, this one I have under 4.5, but it's -122. Where the other ones just weren't even being offered. Now I can't help but look if I could find this alt number in real time. Again, DraftKings has the offer. I think I could use it on my phone. I just can't do it right now. This sucks. Sometimes you're at the whim, real time of these websites populating. It's just not always so easy. Well, shoot, I wasn't able to find that. So I'm going to just push forward. We'll cover them, with the caveat at the end. Damn, I thought I had it for a second. Okay, so my bookie, who you can hit me up for a referral, we'll both get some free roll shit or whatever. They have alts, but they're only flats. So they are offering an over 4 and an over 5. Shoot. I should have picked the game I was talking about. Sorry to take everybody on this wild ride, but if we get what we're looking for, it's worth it. How to price these freaking totals and the F5 stuff, how to play them properly. Execution, totally matters. Funny, in real time, the Twins and Orioles game just went to 4.5. And, they'll do that sometimes. I wonder if I could get under. Oh, they do have the offer, so I can get an under 4.5 on that game that I wanted, which is a nice boost that my bookie is now offering alts on the F5. So that's kind of what I was waiting for. So now I feel comfortable promoting them. Hit me up if you want a referral. I'm going to put it in the email. Now that they're able to do this, we're gonna like that because we like being able to move the F5 over, especially if you're doing any kind of pairing. All right, we're down to 2 games. Then we'll do the show parlay. I'll tell you one more time that I love you, and we'll get the freak out of here finally. It's the Snakes with shapes on their back. Zach Gallen on the bump, plus 192 dog down in Hollywood. Always up to no good against Yoshinobu Yamamoto and the Trolley Dodgers, minus 233. Gallen kind of had a brutal year, but if I remember correctly, it's not nearly as bad when split because I remember getting paid fading this guy all year. Then he started to turn it around, and it was legit under the hood. And we got away from that business because it stopped being profitable. Yeah, he was significantly better down the stretch. Like after August, he was much better. And Gallen's given us those full seasons. He's only 30, so I'm not sure I'm ready to throw dirt on the grave yet. That said, he's still probably effed because the velo is dipping with too many four-seamers, not enough swing and miss, right, without the chase to beat the Dodgers. Who's not going to get clipped by the Dodgers? Everybody is screwed against the Dodgers. I mean, let's check the left to right splits. Not like I said, not that it even matters, but if you're going to struggle against lefties, this is like the wrong team, right? Because they're going to force feed you, all the Ohtani and Tucker and Freeman and Max Muncy you could stomach. Those guys are going to go ham. Arizona offense, I think we need to wait for it to come out because if I'm not mistaken, Ketel Marte was banged up. And we don't know if he's going to play. And we think Carroll's going to play. I think Carroll's going to play. We don't know if Carroll's going to play. And if they're missing those 2 pieces, they're screwed, right? Hold on. I'm just checking the spring game log on Ketel. Hasn't played since the 23rd. There's a chance Ketel Marte's out. So I wouldn't touch this one. This one is old reliable, right? It's the old corn dog. And you're either looking for a Dodgers cover, or I'd be looking for the team total. Give me Dodgers over 5.5 for even money. Because I think they either boat race Gallon or they feast in the bullpen. Diamondbacks bullpen is hanging by a thread right now. We haven't even thrown a single pitch, and they're already down. What's his face? Puck and Martinez. Sorry, to be honest, I was thinking about the Angels that lost Yates, but Arizona missing pieces also. This bullpen is bad. It's Paul Sewald, who hasn't been good for a while. He's been good before. And then I almost would ask if you could name anybody. The guy the fantasy geeks like myself liked. I have Kevin Ginkel on a team. He had a 7.5 ERA last year. He had a 15 ERA this spring or whatever, and it's not looking good. Arizona's got troubles in the bullpen. Dodgers are very deep. From both sides of the dish, Arizona is totally screwed. So I'm going to take the Dodgers full game run total in this also, in this beautiful like show parlay. Okay, I'm psyched. One more game and we are outie 5,000, my friends. Please like and retweet the show. And follow me on Twitter, Instas, John_Legeza. There's a Cork Stats YouTube channel if you prefer to watch the stuff on YouTube. Nobody watches on YouTube. Nobody subscribed, but it's there. I just like to have a place, and some people prefer to view there. Someone asked me if I'd set it up. Good to have backup sometimes when StreamYard doesn't launch. So, I'm on the socials, right? I just having trouble reaching people. Last but not least, Tanner Bybee and the Guardians plus 145 dogs on the road, heading over to the Pacific Northwest to face my boy Logan Gilbert and the M's minus 180 for the Mariners. Let's go to the videotape. Tanner Bybee kind of had a rough season last year. I was high on a bunch of the guards. I actually kept Tanner Bybee in a keeper league, and it was very disappointing. You could see on the board 424, 123 ERA, whip combo, expected stuff all at least 3 2/3. The four seamer is just trash, and that's been the problem. And then it's too much contact, and he's just getting punished. Again, that fastball is not good. Now, he doesn't force feed it to hitters, so that's the point of escape, right? The point of adjustment that maybe bails us out. My beef is the good secondaries are also fastballs, right? The cutter and the sweeper he throws. Good extension profile, great spin. But the location is kind of brutal. They're still better than the four-seamer, but the fact of the matter is, Bybee's throwing 60% fastballs or whatever. So as long as that's the case, he's going to struggle. I know the Mariners offense kind of has a narrative for getting out of the box slow. Julio's had a great spring. They brought in Brendan Donovan, who I think is a legit MLB type hitter. Cole Young was the spring training MVP. We like Randy the Macho Man. Yeah, Savage, cream rising to the top. Cal Raleigh, GOAT. Canzone, Paisan, the GOAT. I like the Mariners splits against righties. They're another team that's going to do some platooning and some split stuff. And yeah, the lefties that just face righties are going to make them tough. I think Bybee's in trouble today, and I love Gilbert. I bet Gilbert 45-1 to lead the league in strikeouts. Per basis, he was as good as anybody last year. Legit, as good as anybody. Cleveland offense, I think, blows. They're extremely top heavy, right? It's J Ram and then Ugazza. You could see up on the board. Let's go to the overalls for Cleatown. So bad. So bad. They bat 226 as a team on the season. sub 300 OBP, 670 OPS. They chase too much, not what you'd expect, right? Not the Cleveland we know. No barrels, it's just awful. The expected stuff is trash. Cleveland was terrible. And if anything, I think righties were the weaker split. It was. I think the Mariners crush today. Let's check algo and pricing. I forgot where I was on this one. Oh, I'm over on this one. Okay, I went over. I went over the total because it was 6.5, but I got to check and see if that's still the case. It is 6.5 for me. Those are too low. Though I guess in transparency's sake, I probably should check Seattle's team total. If I'm not right, you can't expect Gilbert to throw a shutout. But I want to make sure it's at 2.5. I think that's what I got. I'm doing a little bit of stumbling. Right, I'm trying to knock some rust off myself. Mariners are 3.5 minus 127. Man, maybe do I like the Mariners to 4 or the full game to 7? Maybe I like the Mariners to 4 and just avoid Gilbert absolutely shoving because that's what I'm kind of afraid is going to happen. So, all right, let's get out of here, party people. Let's wrap up with the show parlay and get out of here. Of course, I did something wrong, so I'll just backtrack this bad boy manually. We had a couple of team totals that I didn't want to pay the juice for. So that's Seattle 3.5 and the Dodgers at 5.5. Then we got some F5 love going on. Pittsburgh and Skeens. White Sox and Brewers under the unders, guys and girls. Please look for 4.5s. I hate going under 4. Now, granted, you do get the push. Principle. I'm fucking cheap. Even if we're lotto parlaying small bits, I don't care. Of course, please play responsibly. I know I am. So, Pittsburgh at 5, Chicago, Milwaukee, under go 4.5. Nats getting the half run, F5. Twins in Baltimore, F5 under, 4.5. That one I got live on my book. He hit me up for the referral. Angels and Astros. Give me the Astros F5. I don't want to risk the run line. I don't want to get clipped. Not covering. Red Sox and Boston, F5 under, get the 4.5. Detroit, just give me the straight F5, same like Houston. I don't want to cover. Tampa and St. Louis were under the 4.5 F5. Texas, I want the half run. If I was going to fade any of these, it's probably this one because Sanchez is really, really good. And I like the offenses, so I didn't want to go under. I mentioned the Dodger and Seattle team total. So that's it, everybody. Wow, we did it. Thanks for picking up what I'm putting here at Corked Stats. So follow me up on Twitter at John Legeza, Flow Sharper Than a Razor, at Insta at John_Legeza, on YouTube at Corked Stats, and on Substack, John Legeza. You can type in moving averages. I have kind of unique stuff so you could search and find me. There are samples of all the data. If you want to see in the pin post, that was the term I was looking for, that you could just see for free, right? See everything, like zoom and see. Or just go through these videos and check it out. Hit me up if you have any questions, what I might add, what else is going to be coming, what the schedule may be like. And I'll talk to you soon, man. Cannot wait. So enjoy the games. Enjoy the day. When we're done with the book, enjoy the pay. Yeah. Freaking day, baby. Let's go. When you work this hard, man, the winning feels a lot less like luck. Yo,